Okay, a little strange happening. I'm 57. It's Halloween. It's gonna be a quiet night. We're the youngest people in the neighborhood. No kids. Outside is city limit. No street lights, so it's dark. And as usual, there's nothing ever happens here. So it'll be a quiet night for Halloween. For the strange happening, I have tried to make a video many times now, uh, and one went on for more than 30 minutes with a lot of detail in it about different things. And it's hard to go into a lot of it. Um, talk about the parts of me that are back I went into, and I don't know that I want to get into it because it's so far out there and weird and just odd, really weird stuff. So I'm just not going to get into that. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. Um, the last Starseed one, I mentioned, I'll be open and honest in the Zoom meeting coming up. And for that Steve Noble guy, I read about the dark arts practitioner types, which it seems like I am, because I see all these dark entities. And in the past, when I was first starting out, that first depression awakening part, I fought these things. Then I learned how to use this other part of me to grab them and hang on to them. And that went on for years and years and years. And then probably like a decade or something like that. And then another decade goes by. I learned that some of them can be what I called converted. And in Steve Noble's book, he calls them redeemed. I would take them into myself, show them unconditional love, truth about themselves, and send them home on the way home, what I considered home. And if you saw some of my previous Starseed stuff, home is not here. It's like another dimension. It's out there. It's part of the source kind of thing. Really odd, but to send them to a beautiful home kind of thing. And then a decade or so, or whatever of that, and then I stopped and started talking to him because I was alone. I didn't know how to do any of this. I'm not a teacher. I'd never met anybody really like me fully before. This Zoom class would be the first time I ever, if we talked to each other, it would be the first time I ever talked to anybody like this. And I just learned about starseeds, this kind of thing, September 24th? So, I don't know, it's about a month ago. So I didn't know anything about this, and so I just tried talking to both sides, and I've mentioned that in the past videos. What he mentioned about dark arts practitioners and seeing these dark entities, and the dark entities are attracted to them for some reason. He said a lot of times these are solo people, but they can be people in high positions of power that can influence large groups of people. So these dark entities might want to use these people to try to influence them to do dark things. So that's why these people that are in a position to influence others see these dark entities. I am not in that kind of position at all. Might have been in the past, but I never did anything like that. I've been around people and lead president of arts and science and all this kind of stuff, groups and associations and that kind of thing, but not like a major public figure or anything like that. So why do I see these dark entities and all this, feel everything around me, the dark, the positive, the lost souls kind of thing? Why do I feel all of this around me? I was thinking about this the other night at 3:30 in the morning when I made the video and rambled quite a bit. There's one thing from my past that I didn't put out here. I've talked about the different psychic things that I was born with. A lot of people that I've seen on YouTube, they talk about trying to get this awareness to try to make their pineal gland, whatever, right here in the front of their hair, the third eye, expand. Sometimes get headaches, like I always had headaches, but expand, and maybe they can start feeling the emotions of others. Then maybe they can do a little telepathy. It's like I was born like that. So maybe I was just born with my third eye open, as they call it, whatever they call it. But this awareness was completely different. That's when I started seeing life in everything and understood how everything's connected to each other, kind of thing. Um, so that was my awareness awakening. But let me go back because I'm mumbling again. It's a little difficult to talk about. Talk about the psychic stuff. The one psychic thing that I do not do, that I can't do, I don't know how to do it. It never appeared for me. Is people talking about they're able to touch an object, and I don't know what that's called, whatever that psychic ability. They can touch something and know what's other people have touched it, know where it's been or something like that with objects. That ain't me. Thank God. I'm really happy about that. You know, I don't want to pick up my food and know where it's been. You know, I just, no, not going to go there. So I don't have that. That's never been something that I could do. All the other ones, every other one, yeah, but not that one. But there is something else that started occurring at that first awareness stage after that depression number one, and the awareness came in, and that thing happened, and everything started responding. I talked about reality itself started responding, um, that kind of thing. And it was a huge trial and error time, trying to do trial and error and figure this stuff out because I had nobody to talk to. Even now, I don't really have anybody to talk to, so I'm talking to this camera, talking to you. And I've never really had people to talk to. I'm trying to find people now, but I'm not a teacher. All this is just my intuition. I'm learning through intuition. I do things wrong sometimes. Sometimes I'm mistaken about things, and I'm trying to figure it out and learn as I grow. But I'm definitely not a teacher type. I just learn through intuition, and I try to listen to others and try to figure things out on my own. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm still trying to avoid the subject. You can see that, I guess. I'm trying to avoid it. There's another thing that happened that may tie in with these dark entities, and while I can see them, they're attracted to me, kind of thing. Back in Allah, where this first depression happened, this awareness came in. When that happened, something else I noticed that was kind of odd that had started happening. Because I felt everything, felt this oneness kind of, everybody's connected, everything is connected around the globe, this thing. I started noticing weird little things that I would do seem to go global. It is the stupidest thing to talk about because it sounds complete egocentric, I guess you would call it, completely arrogant, thinking that I would have this kind of ability to influence consciousness on a global scale. That's insane. That is arrogance. That is all this kind of stuff. So it's hard to talk about because it is total arrogance, total all that. But the problem I had is it happened. It actually happened. It was just trial and error, me trying things. And it happened several times. I told some of the kids at that little high school there in Alla, Louisiana, about this. And actually, I didn't bring it up first. They're the ones who brought it up first, not me. They're like, because there was the first thing that they noticed was I was writing something in a particular way. And they go, that is so weird. Why are you doing it that way? I'm like, I just feel like doing it this way. And then within a month or two, it was global. Everybody was doing this particular thing, writing this thing, this particular. And the kids at school saw this, go, that's really weird. That's just really weird. And I'm like, yeah, I saw that too. It's kind of really weird. But it was this whole oneness thing. And all of a sudden, what I was thinking went global. It was really weird still. Arrogant, ego. I mean, all that. But they saw it. It wasn't just me. They saw this. So they kind of laughed and said, oh, let's see if you can make something else do that. Let's come up with a phrase. They came up with a phrase, me and them together came up with a phrase and said, let's see if it'll go global. Let's see if, something like that can really happen, Just kids, young kids messing around, teenagers, don't believe it. Oh, let's try this. Let's try this. Like kids trying to be scary. Here, it's Halloween. Let's walk to a graveyard. That kind of scary. It was like that. It's like, oh, yeah, let's see if we can try to do this. So they came up with a phrase with me. And I pushed it out there, and then within a month or two, it had gone global. And they're like, that is strange. That's really, really weird. So they came up with another phrase, and it happened again a third time. For them, from their standpoint, they saw this happen 3 times, the other people. But I'm not comfortable with doing that because that's people and free will and all that kind of thing. And I don't like interfering with free will. But it's just being tied into everybody and everything. And I know I'm rambling and it's arrogant, but it happened back then. I don't do that ever. It was just that one time, or 3 or 4 or 5 times right around there. Multiple times, trial and error kind of thing. And then I grew up and learned, you don't mess with certain things. All mine was trial and error. But that was the same time that these dark entities not the same time that I want to say they started showing up. That's the same time I started fighting them. Was about then. They had been showing up all the time. I mentioned back in the little haunted house where we used to live, the White House with the red shutters, and seeing the thing outside my window. That wasn't the only time I saw a dark entity kind of thing. My dad had taken me and my brothers, very young tots, single digit age, I think, very, very young tots, fishing. And there was a green hose in the water. And I screamed and pitched a fit in the boat because he wanted to go investigate it. My normal eyes were seeing the same thing that he is seeing. He and my brother are seeing this green hose in the water. And from a reality standpoint, it's just a green hose in the water. That's all it is. But the way my mind was seeing it, sees other things, it was one of those dark entities and it wanted to kill me. I could feel it. It wanted to kill me. And if we went over there, I would die. And I pitched a screaming fit. I don't even know if they remember that or not. So I have seen these things all my life, but I really just started fighting them about the time this conscious shifting thing happened at school, and they really started showing up more. Because that was only a couple of times prior to that I'd seen these dark entities like that. Not really many at all. But after that was when they really started showing up. And I started doing all this other stuff. So I'm leaving the video at just this. Since it's Halloween, I'm talking about these dark entities. Okay, I took a shower, rewatched the video, and gray shirt. Gonna add just a little bit more here. I actually cut more out of that clip just to stay focused a little bit because I started rambling. But I hope you've noticed that, you know, what I just talked about is really arrogant type stuff. And this is a lot of the ideas and things going on in my head when this first awareness happened that I had to fight against was this arrogance, other hate that I felt coming in, these things wanting to get me to do things, you know, with all this strange happening stuff in my life, do bad things with it. And the whole thing when I was growing up like that, the phrase that kept going through my head was from that Shakespeare play where it says all the world's a stage or whatever, you know, all the world's a stage. And it felt like that a lot of times. It's like I'm the only one here and this whole world's just an illusion. It's a stage, and when I want something to happen, it happens. Whether it's a global shift in consciousness, it happens. Whether it's an atmospheric whatever, it happens. Meteors from the sky, it happens. All of these strange coincidences just happen. It's like, it's not possible, and it's stuff I had to fight against to use it in really negative ways. And if you watched all my videos, there were some negative ways that I used it. Pushing people, making people do things that they probably wouldn't have done normally. Not super bad things. I never would do anything like that. Not anything horrible like that. But move the car out of your lane. Get people to hire you for a job. Pushing people that way. The most recent that I mentioned, coming back from cancer treatment, had to pee really bad, and making someone in front of me hit the accelerator really hard to get out of my way. That kind of thing. And not even long before that, make someone pull off the side of the road because they were a danger. And that's dark stuff. You're overriding someone's free will. That's the kind of things that these dark entities like. And I did that, and I still had been doing that recently until I learned, really started learning that I'm not alone. I'm not crazy, because otherwise I'm just crazy and alone. And even alone in the dark, I fought against doing all this bad stuff, which I easily could be doing. And you want to go in that direction, using all this for personal gain and bad things and overriding people's free will and shifting consciousnesses and weird things like that. And it all worked. It all started working there. The psychic stuff I was born with, that was all natural. But during the awakening part, during puberty, all this other stuff started happening that I couldn't explain, but it was happening. And as I mentioned with this global conscious thing, other kids at the school saw this. So that wasn't me alone doing this. They noticed it first. And well, not first, but they brought it up first in the conversation. So that's what a lot of it made it difficult, is trying to stay keep from doing bad things. And that was really difficult and hard. And that's what it felt like, being alone in the dark, fighting against these urges and these things wanting me to do all this bad stuff and fighting against that. So that's what I mean by fighting, and fighting in the dark and alone in the dark. You can't talk to people about this because this is insane. All this is insane. Watch, you see me here with the arms crossed right now, just like, that it's just, I don't know. I just don't know. I had forgotten about that global consciousness shift from back in Allah. All what I just went over, I had forgotten about that until that 3:30 in the morning, waking up, and it just came to me. I started remembering, and it's like, I remember that happening. I remember all that happening. And the reason it came to me is because it was talking about reason with the star seeds shifting from 3D to 5D, and the whole consciousness of the globe shifting. And it's like, I am a little familiar with shifting this whole global consciousness. I wonder if I can help do that. But then again, is that a negative thing? Because people need to learn and grow and deal with things on their own and discover it for themselves. People need to discover this for themselves instead of me helping it along too much. I don't want to interfere with free will at all. But it does make you wonder. It's like, can I at least merge with the global consciousness and think positive thoughts, kind of thing, and hope, things like that. I don't know that that would be a bad thing, just trying to give people hope, a little positive stuff. So maybe I could do something like that without causing damage.